everyone, Blaze. We're back talking some more Bel-Air on the channel with the 10th episode. It's the season 1 finale. We've come a long way in these 10 episodes. It's been fun talking about the show each and every week with you guys, and we're finally getting towards all the answers that we've been building up to in the season finale. A large portion of the season's drama did come to a head in the last episode, especially Jeffrey being fired and then Phil dropping out of the DA race entirely. But this finale, it's on a whole nother level of intensity. I think it's a great finale all around. It sets up some very intriguing options for our characters to go into a season 2, and also it's just a very emotionally impactful episode, which is what you would expect with some of the way that we're going to converge the storylines in this finale. Thankfully, we do begin the episode on a bit of a lighter note before all of the heavy-hitting drama. Everyone's gathering for Vivian's art exhibit, celebrating her and her return to art. While it has been one of the major plots that's kind of lingered in the background in most episodes of the season, I do actually quite like the Vivian storyline, as it's been rewarding seeing Vivian's passion for art slowly continue to return throughout the course of the season, and we see all of her peers actually sharing in that appreciation of her artwork, from her peers to all of her family. It's just something that's very nice. It's, it's not like a major storyline kind of thing, but it's just been nice to see unfold and get some sort of happy resolution to it. There still is a hint of teeny bits of drama in this segment. We do know, of course, from the last episode that Will and Lisa, they're not on the greatest foundation after Lisa felt betrayed because Will didn't tell her about the whole reason why she's in Bel-Air to begin with. Thankfully, though, it seems like Lisa's gonna try her best to kind of look past it and give her one more chance to kind of talk things out at a later date at a coffee shop, because of the fact that Will does profess his love to her, which I thought was a very sweet moment amongst all the other things going around in the episode. Despite all of the drama that's gone on between Lisa, Will, and also Carlton, as kind of this weird kind of love triangle, I do think that Will's feelings towards Lisa is one of the more genuine romances in the show. It's just a matter of, will it actually work out in the end? Because you never really know, and it's not like we end off with their relationship in a better spot by the end of this episode leading into season 2. As to be expected, Karuchi Tran's character Ivy makes an appearance again in the episode to talk more about stuff with Hillary. I mean, she doesn't really do all that much in the episode. She kind of just does more of the influencer stuff we've seen with Hillary all throughout the season, because she is an influencer after all. But she does bring up the big elephant in the room that I've kind of been speculating about, and the fact that she has not told her parents that she owes Kylo $50,000 still. And that's on top of all of the money that she's using, wasting it on that 5-star hotel, because we find out she's using her dad's credit card to pay for that 5-star hotel when she's with Jazz. Generally, I've not been the biggest fan of this storyline all throughout the season, and it still, again, is kind of a non-factor compared to everything else going on with Will and the rest of the family, even in this finale. But, it's whatever. It's an okay storyline you can get out of the way really early, because it's nice to see Jazz give Hillary that encouragement to kind of try and be more business savvy as an influencer, and she does use that to craft this great plan when she gives Ivy this proposition to basically buy out Kylo's influencer house. So she'll be basically working with Hillary in that influencer house, and just as an added bonus, she's not gonna have to owe $50,000. So good for Hillary. That's the one way to get out of it without telling her parents. Her parents are still gonna find out about the crazy credit card bill for the hotel, but I guess that doesn't really matter because Phil and Vivian are very rich. Now, the main crux of the finale is stuff that we have been building towards in the last couple episodes, especially all of the mystery swirling around Will's father. Are we going to see Will's father? We don't really know too much about Will's father. We do know going in, especially if you're a fan of the original series, we have that expectation because of the fact that the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's stuff involving Will and his father is some of the most iconic, heartbreaking moments of TV history, at least in my opinion anyways. And we do get some sort of elements of that in this finale, and we do see a car pull up to the mansion, and the door opens, and it's Will's father, Lou. I figured it was going to be someone that we had an idea of who they were, a well-known name. The shot in the dark kind of guess that I kind of had guessed in my head was going to be Will Smith, just because we know he has his hand in the show in some shape or form. And it would be kind of an interesting full circle moment here, and the character is Will Smith after all. Would have been very interesting timing with him having that incident with him and Chris Rock at the Oscars yesterday. I was asked not to reveal the identity of the actor who's going to portray Will's dad in this show, so my apologies for some of the clever editing that I have to do to kind of edit around showing who the actor is. It's someone well known. If you're someone who has followed pop culture in the last several decades, you're gonna know who the actor is. It's not Will Smith. However, once the episode does air on Thursday, we can openly talk about who the actor is, because I am very excited to talk about it with people. I just want you guys to know that that is why there's some clever editing and all that stuff, and why I'm not revealing who Lou is in the show. If you want any kind of hint hints to who the actor is because I know someone's going to ask for them in the comment section. It's a very popular comedic actor, but he has done some sprinklings of serious roles in the past, and after this performance as Lou in this show, I think he should do more serious work because he's great at it. Because you do truly feel like this is somebody who's lived a very rough life, a very damaged individual that appears outwardly to be attempting to put things back together, but you never really know. He's kind of a wild card in that sense. Unpredictability does play into the reluctance that Phil and Vivian have to letting Lou see Will after all these years, because we do know, because it's revealed, he's been out of prison for a few years now. So he's had plenty of time to try and reconnect, even in Philadelphia, because he's only been in Bel-Air a very short time. And we find out his history, how he was actually in jail because he robbed an old man that said he stole money from him. I did find it amusing that while Jeffrey is not in the episode at all, his presence is still looming very large over the episode because Lou is only here because Jeffrey gave him all of the details, and there's also the fact that everyone realized that Jeffrey's no longer here, and his absence is felt by everybody, and everyone is suspicious on why Jeffrey all of a sudden is gone, and all the different characters in the show, they have different excuses for why Jeffrey is gone. So that detail kind of has blown up in Uncle Phil's face at least a little bit. Even when it comes to the folder that Jeffrey originally gave Will, it makes a return because Carlton's actually the one that goes and finds it and gives it to Will, saying that he should read it because his father came by the house, and that is kind of the big start of the drama in this episode. I mean, now there's been a lot of drama in the episode up to this point as well, but this is like the heart of it. This is the stuff, the very heavy-hitting part of the episode that was actually kind of emotional in some sense. I have to give props to the show. I do think the show all around handles drama well. I think it's handled in a very genuine, very mature way, because a lot of the time with these dramatic shows, they can kind of go a little bit over the top, off the rails. You know, I think of like how crazy Riverdale's gotten in recent years, and I think it's done a great job balancing it and making it feel very realistic, having us see arguments from both perspectives most of the time, because obviously, you know, Will is a young character, he's impressionable, so I see why he would be upset and he confronts Phil and Vivian after reading the folder about his dad, because he does have a certain view of his father, and that of course is going to be vastly different to Phil and Vivian, who do actually know him. Because to Phil and Vivian, I think Lou is a manipulative con man, and he wasn't a great influence, so everyone chose not to tell Will that he went to prison and got out all those years ago, but at the very least, they do give him the option whether or not he wants to actually talk to his father or not, so at least we're trying to be mature about the subject now that it's kind of like in his face. The best moment of the episode by far is when Will and Lou finally do have that interaction with one another, because it is a very much an emotional roller coaster. All throughout their conversation, you feel that tension building and building as you go along with them, having them reunite and discuss all these pivotal things that he's ever wanted to ask about his dad. Like, why did Lou never try and reach out to him after all these years? Because he's been out of jail for 3 years now, and Will lets his father know how he truly felt about everything, being gone the majority of his life, how that affected him emotionally and personally as a person. I can understand that as someone who didn't have the greatest support system in my father, so I guess it kind of hits a little bit heavier emotionally and personally to me. I thought it was very well done. I think Jabari Banks is probably the best part of this entire segment. He really holds his own in this emotional stuff. I mean, even in the other episodes, but especially in this segment in particular, he's really great. When it comes to Lou's rebuttal for everything, why he wasn't there and all that stuff, I kind of find it hard to believe. I can understand to some degree, but you never know with this character because, you know, he does have that con man background, at least according to Phil, so you're kind of hesitant to some of the things that he does say, even if you do want to believe him. I'm very much trying to believe everything that he says and his explanations. He didn't want Will to see him that way because of his past trauma. However, he's been out of prison for years at this point, and at this point, 3 years down the road, you never tried to mend that bridge, so I do kind of find it hard to relate in that sense. Either way, for a very short time, it seems like things are going a bit more positively as Will and Lou try to reconnect and kind of remember some of the stuff they do know from their past, but it turns very much negative immediately afterwards because he tries to throw Vi under the bus, blaming her, Phil, and Vivian for everything, which Will is not going to allow. We know how much he loves his mom, and that is just the spark that he needed to kind of just flip the script on the entire conversation and go back to the negative. Things start getting a little bit physical between the two of them because Lou tries and puts his hands on Will, which is like the end-all be-all here, and that's just how Will just lays right into him. It was a very powerful scene. It doesn't rival the original scene, at least in my opinion. I do think that overall there was a lot more emotion in the original, but I'm not trying to compare the two. I do still think this was a very effective scene for Will as a character, and it was a great moment for him to kind of realize how bad his father potentially could be. The other unfortunate thing that comes out of this entire situation between Will and his dad is he completely forgot to go meet Lisa at that coffee shop to try and mend things. And the only way that Lisa even finds out about the situation with Will and his father is when Carlton comes by her house later and explains everything, because he's looking for Will and needs her help. Since rather shockingly, after the incident with his father, Will packs his bags, says that he can't trust Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv anymore, and he just leaves. He just leaves the house entirely, which I figured it was going to be one of those things where he gets very emotional and they kind of try and work everything out, but he just leaves. Nobody can track him. He's not answering his phone, which is why Carlton goes to see Lisa and get any assistance. Like I said, it actually really hurt Carlton. It actually hurt me, even seeing how broken up he was about Will leaving, because of the fact that, you know, we've seen that change of heart in Carlton over the course of the season. Now they've actually become quite close. I mean, even in a subtle move, he sneaks a bunch of money into Will's pocket when he tries to confront him about everything. And it just kind of shows you the role reversal here, how much we hated Carlton in the beginning of the season. And he's had some great development. I mean, I don't want to say that I like the character a whole lot or anything. And he still has some work to do, like a lot of the characters in the show. But I'm impressed with his development at the very least. We do leave off the episode in a very interesting way for Will, because it feels like he's kind of at a crossroads here as he talks to Jazz about everything that's transpired. I did like the line that Jazz says to Will during everything, that he should stay true to who he is no matter where he is. And since nobody is here to dictate anything for Will when it comes to his life choices, it's really just up to him where he wants to go at this point. And that's kind of where we leave off things. Like, where is he going to go? Is he going to go back to Philly? Is he going to go back to Uncle Phil and Vivian and just stay back in Bel-Air? I guess the sky is full of choices here. I'm not really sure. I feel like he's going to end up going back to the family in Bel-Air, but you never really know. I'm really excited to see where we go with some of these storylines and plot elements leading into season 2. We don't have a lot to carry over in the season 2, but it'll be intriguing to see where we go with some of this stuff, because I actually quite liked the show. I thought it was a bit better than I expected. The first few episodes were a little bit rocky. They weren't my favorite or anything, but I'm really glad that I stuck through with the show. It ended up being a pretty good drama in my opinion. Kind of underrated. It seems like a show that's not like a lot of people are talking about, but I've had a lot of fun talking about the show each and every week with you guys. So when the new episode does actually air on Peacock very soon, I say it every week, I get the episodes early. I get them for reviews. I'm a critic technically, so I review them, and that's how I see them. That's really it. It's really not that complicated. I say it every single week. But when you do see the episode, I would love to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. What did you think of this finale for Bel-Air? Did you like the finale? Not like the finale? What did you think about the build-up here and the revelations with Will's father? And just anything you have about the show. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts about anything, whether it be your general overview of the season as a whole, this episode in particular, where we think we're going to go into season 2. All that stuff in the comments section. Make sure you leave them all, because I like to talk all things movies and TV with you guys on the channel. Thank you guys for checking out the reviews. I really appreciate that. Thank you always for checking out all of these reviews for Bel-Air this whole season. It's been a blast. Stay tuned for other content on the channel very soon. But make sure you leave a like on the video and also subscribe if you haven't already. So update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Next time, I'll see you guys later.